What's up guys, my name is Ace, and a couple days ago we actually got a weapon balancing update that I wasn't able to cover right away because I was away visiting my girlfriend's family and couldn't quite get a video out to you guys until now. But today, let's get into the details of this weapon balancing update because it is fairly noticeable on some of these guns. So let's start it off with the elephant in the room, the FAL. This gun at the beginning of Season 4 got a huge buff to it where it could now get a one-shot headshot in core game modes. And in Warzone, it would only take you 4 shots anywhere in the body to get a kill, which gave you by far the fastest time to kill in the assault rifle category, and it was even faster than all of the SMGs up close. Now, with this update, a lot of people got very worried because the first thing says they increased the headshot damage on the FAL, so they actually buffed it, at least in this department when it comes to headshots. But on top of this, a lot of people didn't read past that and see that they reduced the close range damage as well. So let's have a look at pre-patch versus post-patch, and I highlighted the things that changed and whether or not it was a buff or a nerf, using red or green, just to make things easy for you guys. But you can see to the limbs and lower torso up close, you used to deal 65 damage, now you deal 49, so that's a pretty significant reduction there. And you no longer are able to get a 2-shot kill in core game modes to the lower torso or the limbs. You have to be hitting that upper torso or headshot. But we can also see the upper torso damage was reduced from 78 down to 68, and in regular core game modes, this doesn't really matter. You're still going to have that 2-shot kill potential. This more so matters when armor comes into the equation, and we'll look at that in a little bit. But finally, I want to have a look at the headshot buff that it got. They actually nerfed up close headshot damage from 105 down to 100, but this really doesn't change anything in any situation, so that is hardly a nerf. It's more so at mid-range, they buffed it from 72 damage up to 92 damage, and then at the longest ranges, it went from 55 damage up to 69 damage. So for core game modes, effectively what they've done is they've dialed this back from a 2-shot kill anywhere in the body up close to now you only have the ability to get a 2-shot kill if at least one of those shots hits the upper torso or the head. You still do have that 1-shot kill potential to the head up close, the same as we did before this update, so it's just as powerful in that sense. And all of the other changes only apply to Warzone when armor's included. So let's have a look at the changes here. When it comes to upper torso damage being reduced from 78 down to 68, it really doesn't change any of the interaction when people have nice even armor plates on. The only change here is if the enemy happens to have exactly 1 armor plate on as well as full health. In this case, it's now going to take you 3 shots to kill to the upper torso instead of 2 pre-patch. Aside from that though, it's still exactly the same. You still have that 4-shot ability against a person with full armor and full health. The real nerf here comes to the limbs and lower torso. If you aren't accurate enough to be hitting that upper torso multiplier, it's now going to take you a base 3 shots to kill, assuming the enemy has no armor plates. Then with 1 armor plate equipped, it's now going to take you 4 instead of 3. With 2 armor plates, it's going to take you 5 instead of 4. And then finally, if the enemy has full armor and full health, it's going to take you 6 shots to kill rather than 4 if you're not hitting that upper torso or headshot. So this is where the real nerf came in. The FAL you have to be much more accurate with now. You can't just spam anywhere in the body. You really have to be aiming for that upper torso or head. But if you do, it still has the same power up close. As for the headshot buffs at the longer damage ranges, effectively what these mean is if the enemy has full health and full armor, it's going to take you 1 fewer shot to kill than it did pre-patch, assuming you're hitting those headshots. So in a way, the FAL got buffed in the sense that if you're more precise at hitting those higher multipliers, it's going to be just as good, if not better, if you're hitting the headshot. However, you are going to be punished more if you're hitting the limbs or the lower torso. As for the next weapon that was adjusted, we have the Holger 26, and this one got a couple buffs. The first one is they increased the damage range on this. And we can see the pre-patch and the post-patch here. It was a relatively minor increase to our damage ranges. Honestly, probably not even super noticeable. You still don't get a very great time to kill potential when it comes to the Holger. But on top of this, they did increase the aim down sight speed, which was another nice little boost that we got here. And with this, based on my testing, it went from 400 milliseconds down to 350 milliseconds. And this is a pretty considerable buff, actually. This makes it quite a bit snappier, so you can get on target sooner. And this is actually much faster than all of the other LMGs now. So while this doesn't compete in the time to kill department against the other LMGs, you will be able to get on target faster, and therefore you may gain some practical time to kill benefits there. Overall, though, I really wouldn't say these buffs are enough to make the Holger like a top-tier gun in multiplayer or Warzone, but it is a little bit better than it was before, and if you already like the Holger, you're going to like it even more now. This brings us into the next change, and this is one that a lot of people have been expecting as well. This was a nerf to the Bruen, and with this, all they did was reduce the damage ranges. And looking at it pre-patch versus post-patch, they actually hit it pretty hard. You can see that 3-shot kill range was reduced very noticeably, all the way down to just over 25 meters, which is a really big nerf. And then the 4-shot kill range was nerfed a little bit as well, but it's mainly that maximum damage range where you deal a 3-shot kill in core modes. And therefore, you may want to consider switching away from the Bruen now if it was one of your favorites. But finally, we have one more gun that was changed with this update, and this was actually the M91, which I feel has kind of just flown under the radar. It's just one of those guns where it's not terrible, but it hasn't really stood out in any way. And this one got a couple buffs. The first was an increase to its near damage, as they say it in the patch notes, and what they did here is they just added another damage range with this. However, in core game modes, it doesn't really change anything. We can have a look at the pre-patch versus post-patch here. And I guess the only thing you could argue is in some situations, if you're mixing lower torso and upper torso shots, you maintain that 3-shot kill ability better than you did before, because before you basically had to hit all upper torso shots. But aside from those situations, this doesn't really change much. So when it comes to this close range damage buff to the M91, honestly, in most situations, you're probably not even going to notice anything, but it may make it a bit more consistent. However, another buff that they gave to this was an improvement to its aim down sight speed. Pre-patch, the aim down sight speed was 450 milliseconds, and post-patch, I measured an aim down sight speed of 417 milliseconds. So definitely a noticeable improvement here, and I would say overall the M91 is a little bit better post-patch than it was pre-patch. But it's not like they buffed this thing into an absolute god tier of a weapon or anything, it's just slightly better. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for all of the weapon changes from the update from a couple days ago. As for my thoughts on this, overall I'm fairly happy with what they've done. I'm glad they didn't overtune the FAL and completely nerf it into the ground. However, perhaps it is still a little bit on the powerful side. I think we'll need a bit more time to play with that because it didn't really affect its power, just its consistency. As for the changes to the Bruen, I think they may have gone a bit overboard on this, honestly. I think they nerfed that 3-shot kill range a bit too much. Again, time will tell on this. It's probably still a pretty solid gun. I haven't had any time to really sink into the game and try this gun out post-patch. I've just done the testing to share with you guys. But they did hit it quite hard when it comes to that 3-shot kill range, which is a bit disappointing to see. Of course, those are just my opinions, though. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this weapon balancing update from a couple days ago? Are you generally happy with these changes, or are you unhappy with them? Just let me know those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.